They want the guys to be really good looking. And then on top of that, you know what else they want? They want attention from 100 other men who they aren't sleeping with. That's what women generally want that. It just doesn't.
If you're that type of financial disparity between the man and the woman, look, I'm all about whoever wants to bring money to the house, God bless, bring it
Agreed.
in. But I also think that it screws up the dichotomy of the relationship. I think if you're the man, I think it's got to burn you a little. Like I can never imagine just like chilling at home and
what does it say in the Bible? It's like it is better to be a non-believer than to not be able to provide for your family.
Yeah, dude.
It seems like they had that figured out 3,000 years ago.
Yeah, I retired my wife 11 years ago.
There you go.
You know what I mean? I just can't even imagine.
So it's one of these situations where it's absolutely, I encourage, if women want to work, that's fine. What they find is that in the workforce, I don't know if you've seen this study, 83% of women said that if they had the opportunity to be a stay-at-home mother,
yes,
they would have chosen 83%. Take that, feminists.
Yeah.
How you like that one? Yeah, exactly. How does that one taste?
And that's what me and my wife did, because it was important to both of us. You know, I call it the peanut butter and jelly mom. When I was growing up, like my mom worked, and my parents were split up, but you had that one house in the neighborhood where there was like that one mom that would make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for all the kids while they were playing football in the front yard. That's what we wanted my wife to be, and that's what she wanted to do.
For sure.
So it's been great for my kids.
For sure.
Super adjusted, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
But so you have that opportunity for some women to want to go do that. What they found, and this was first presented to me by Rollo Tomasi. He's one of my best friends. He's my co-host partner on Access Vegas. Rollo was saying something to the effect of one of the number one precipitators of divorce is when a woman starts making more money than a man. And so you're thinking about, like, she gets promoted at her law firm and she makes more money than him. Yeah. That is a precipitator. But what he actually really means is the man loses his job. And so now she makes any money, even if she's a bus driver, she makes more money than he does. And so that's generally the precipitator of divorce. When you ask women, did you leave your man because he didn't have any money? They never say that's the reason. They say, ready for it? We grew apart.
Yeah, financially.
We grew apart. That's essentially what they say. Because that's the thing, like, as men, we have to be open and honest about why we had to fire. We have a thing called fired with cause, right? If we fire someone for no reason, they can sue us.
Yeah.
That, right? So we understand as men, for us to terminate a relationship, we need a clear understanding, a legal understanding. Women don't need that. Women just break up in relationships and say, we grew apart. Or they say, he wasn't ambitious enough. No, he got fat and he didn't have a nice job. And you worked in a place where you were surrounded by men who were better looking, taller, and made more money. And you got tired of the shit he was saying. So you fucking monkey branch to another dude, and that's fine. But for some reason, women won't admit that that's what they're doing. And that's fine that you're doing that. Evolution made it that way. Men look at numbers of attractive young women, and they want to have sex with all those young women. And if they had the ability to, they'd all end up becoming Dan Bilzerian. Not all of them, but a lot of them would become like something like that. There's another study where it's like the number of men who wish they had more sexual partners was like outrageously high. So there's a group of men that have a ton of sexual partners, and then there's a group of men below them that don't, but wish they did, right? For women, they ask, do you wish you had more sexual partners? And of course, most women say no, they don't wish they had more sexual partners, right? It's much less.
Okay, but do they mean that, or do they just don't want to they don't want to vocalize that because they get slut shamed for saying that?
So the thing is, men are definitely more interested in casual sex than women, and they've done studies. So like one of the best studies I've ever seen is look at gay men in the Castro. There were men out there that were averaging 300 different partners per year. Averaging. Jeez. So like when you want to look at the male libido completely unchecked, it looks like 300 partners a year. I don't care. I know girls who do porn and I know girls who escort, and none of them want 300 partners in a year. None of them. At most they want 4, maybe 3, and they want the guys to be really good looking. And then on top of that, you know what else they want? They want attention from 100 other men who they aren't sleeping with. That's what women generally want that. It just doesn't, women, because of, oxytocin release, they generally are not as interested in casual sex. There's also a thing in evolutionary psychology called parental investment hypothesis, which is the concept which either one of the genders is more invested in raising the children, that gender is going to be the more selective. So there's a certain type of fish where the male fish hold the eggs and the females fight for the male fish. There's also seahorses where this happens, but in most of them, it's obviously men competing with other men for women. And then you can tell the level of competition by the dimorphic difference between the two genders. So elephant bull seals will literally homicide one another in order to have access to all the females. And the male elephant bull seals are 10 times larger than the females. Same thing with gorillas. Gorillas are about 6 times, the males are 6 times bigger than the females. With Homo sapiens, men are about 15% bigger than the women. On average, we are. And so because of that, what that means is for the most part, we competed, but not to the same level that gorillas did. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You find out all this kind of stuff. You look at your evolution, you can see almost like how the programming worked. And there's so many incredible answers, John, when you actually study evolutionary psychology. There's so many answers to so many questions that we had. Does body count matter? Yes, we know now that it matters.
Hang on a second. I want to talk about this because there's evolutionary stuff that's built into us, but obviously with your program teaching guys, one of the things that I found back in the day when I actually did have more game than Parker Brothers, which was a long time ago. Now I'd be, dude, if my wife let me tomorrow, I'd be like, what's his name? I'd be like Ricky Bobby. Like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
I don't know what to do. What do I do?
I'd be so confused, but I'd be like the inside cat that got out. That's what I'd do.
Yeah. And they're like, I don't know what to do. Exactly. That happens to my cats. Yeah.
But I always found back in the day.
Just to go back to your point, about a quarter of the guys in my program are what you just described. Right. Yeah. They gone through a divorce and
and they don't, they're like this. They don't do their hands. But I always found back in the day, my best way to compete was not to compete.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when I met my wife, I was out here visiting her. I was staying with her. And we were at 40 Deuce. We were 40 Deuce at Mandalay Bay.
Okay.
That's how long ago that was. And she started talking to this guy that was obviously just her friend, but just like talking to him for too long. So I just left.
Yes.
I not pouting, not anything else. I just left. And she's like, where are you? I'm like, I went to gamble. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'll see you later.
I like also the concept of having a ton of female friends because you get to look behind the veil.
Sure.
And like, they'll literally show you, you'll see the nice text messages between them and a guy, and then they'll text some other guy. But like when you see it, when you really see it, if you guys, I'm telling you, have a female friend who's like a complete and like just watch how she behaves, and it will just
scar you.
It will illuminate so much. Like you will be
or ruin your whole concept of life.
But like it would literally just consider Keanu Reeves like taking the thing out of his head and in the Matrix, and he's like, "What is this?" Like that's the level of just like disillusionment.
Slut foo.
You will understand if you have a female friend like that. You'll start to see like what actually is going on, and it's so terrific when you see stuff like that. And I remember one time I had a friend of mine named Kim, and Kim was like that. She was very much like to test men, have several of them running at the same time. So Kim was not a good investment opportunity for me. So I was like, okay, Kim's a good friend, and then also Kim had a bunch of super hot friends. So I was like, okay, Kim is wing girl, good friend. Okay. So one time me and Kim went to, anybody from Dallas, you know about Sfoozies. Sfoozies used to be this huge, it's still there now, but it's used to be the it place. Everyone went to Sfoozies. This is back like 2011, whatever. Kim legitimately had 5 guys that she met on dating apps come meet her at Foozies at the same time. And I'm like, I'm going to sit back and watch this. 5 dudes show up. They're all competing for attention. There was one guy at the end of the bar named John. And I remember John was like, all right, cool. John got up and left, and she started dating John and got engaged to John.
Yeah.
Because John didn't play the game.
Playing the game.
The best way when you're dealing with a game that not just a woman, but anyone puts you into is to not to play the game, to not adhere to the boundaries that they're trying to enforce on you. And when you do that, that just shows a higher level of status.
But I think even more, it's to just not care. Not playing the game.
Now, there's a difference between not caring and then like levels of. So there's some studies that show that women are attracted to what are called dark triad traits, which is Machiavellianism, sociopathy, and narcissism.
There's a test for that.
Yeah. So what you'll find is women are mostly attracted to narcissism traits. They're not attracted as much to sociopathy traits. And so what you'll find is that what you just described, having boundaries, a lot of men see other men with boundaries and confuse though. Again, I'm having a conversation with a girl. She tells me, I can't believe my boyfriend, he's a fucking asshole. He's such a narcissist. She'll throw that word out. And I'm like, I'm always kind of curious. So sometimes I'll go meet the guy and I'll talk to him and he'll be like, yeah, from the day one, I told her I wasn't going to be in a relationship with her. I told her I was going to see other people. I hang out with her sometimes. We have great sex. It's really cool. But I told her if she wants to see other people, she can. And I'm like, that dude's not a narcissist. He just had boundaries. Yeah, that dude's not mean at all. Like, I can't blame him for anything. And she keeps going back to him and then blaming him for it. And I just remember seeing this happening over and over again, and came to the realization you don't have to be a narcissist. What you have to do, though, is maintain masculine boundaries. And if you do that, that's fine. And your boundaries are up to you. You remember the whole Jonah Hill nonsense, right? Jonah Hill did nothing wrong. I'm going to say this again. Jonah Hill did nothing wrong. If anybody wants to debate me on this, you want to come on my show and get embarrassed, Jonah Hill did nothing wrong.
Jonah Hill, thoughts and feelings of Jonah Hill do not reflect. No, just kidding. No, fine.
Jonah Hill literally tells his girl, this is why he did nothing wrong. He says, I would prefer if you didn't do this, didn't do this, didn't do this. Doesn't matter what he asked for. At the end, he said, I support you if this is what you need in your life. And I encourage you. You're a beautiful, successful woman, but this might not be for us.
Yeah.
He gave her the opportunity to leave, and then he broke up with her. What he did was enforce boundaries. And if you want to say, well, he shouldn't be telling her to not wear a bikini, then you need to tell every Muslim, the 1 billion, 500 million Muslim men on this country, on this planet, that they're all misogynists. Tell every Muslim that they're misogynist. Every Protestant that wants their wife to not walk around in a bikini. My girlfriend's a bikini competitor. I don't care that she's in a bikini, but some men have the opportunity, if they choose so, to have different boundaries in their relationship. Some guys let their wives sleep with other men, and some guys are like, I would prefer if you didn't wear that when we went out. You have the right to do that. As long as the other person has the right to leave, you're not being controlling. You have the right to do that. And there's just been this massive misinterpretation, because here's one of the things. When you tell men that they can't have boundaries, or when men do have boundaries, that it's controlling, you don't allow men to lead and you don't allow men to be masculine. And they become less attractive to women. And then women complain, where are all the good men? You need to allow men to lead and to act in a masculine manner. And the entire world is trying to teach men to not do that thing.